Hi guys, so today's video is going to be talking about, any kind of nail injury to your bird where you've overclipped them, and what do you do if it starts bleeding? What are some of the solutions? So I'm going to show you a couple of items here that you must have in your bird emergency kit for a rainy day. It's really imperative to have these on hand to kind of prevent as preventative measures before you can take your bird to a vet. So the first thing that I actually learned about in my early days of getting a parrot was this first aid for dogs, cats, and birds. It's called Quick Stop Septic Powder. Septic powder. It helps. Basically what it does is it helps stops the bleeding. So any kind of area that might be cut from a small overclipping of the nail, or like a wing that has been bleeding, this will quickly prevent it from bleeding out. So, and it also kind of is a pain reliever for them too. So the one good thing about this is it's quick and easy. All you need is a Q-tip. Let me see if I can focus that. All you need is a Q-tip and the powder. So basically the instructions go: apply to bleeding caused by clipping nails, docking tails, wings clipping, and minor superficial cuts. And what you need to do is dip the Q-tip in a little bit of water and then dip it in this powder. And then hold that Q-tip, really put some pressure and hold it against the area that is bleeding. So in the case of a bird's nail that has been overclipped, dip it in water, dip it in the powder, and then put pressure on the nail and just hold it there for a couple of seconds until you're certain that the bleeding has stopped. So this actually happened very recently to Milo, where I had overclipped his nail, one of them, and I didn't even notice it was bleeding until I looked at the cloth that I was holding him in, and I saw some spots of blood, and then immediately I saw the table where he had landed on, and there were like, there's a lot of blood, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. But don't be alarmed. This powder here, Quick Stop, to the rescue. I dipped it, put pressure on the nail, and it immediately stopped the bleeding, guys. Like, it's immediate. I did it twice just to make sure that the bleeding actually stopped, and right away it stopped. And the fact that this has some pain relieving properties as well, he was not in any pain, I tell you. Like, I put it on and he did not hold his feet up for even a couple of seconds. He was on his way, playing, jumping around like as though nothing had ever happened. So this thing really, really works. Now, again, this is for very, very superficial cuts, like minor cuts. If it's a large area that has been injured, like, I've heard stories about birds getting caught in like ceiling fans that have cut their abdomen open, or something really ridiculous and scary like that. Take them to the vet. Do not use this. I mean, you can certainly put this as a preventative measure on the way to the vet so they don't bleed out, but you need to take them to the vet for like large cuts and like larger injuries. This is just for smaller injuries. Another option now, if you don't have this, so what do? I know there are a lot of people who watch my videos who are maybe not near a veterinary clinic, or like have access to these types of more foreign options. So what do? So in my early days when I had parrots, like this was like 20 years ago, I used to use baking powder. Guys, this is a good alternative too. So what you do is you take a teaspoon of baking powder and you add a couple of drops of water and make like a thick base. It should not be runny. It should be somewhere on the thick side. And I'm just going to show you in a minute what the consistency would look like. And again, you do the same thing. You take a Q-tip, you dip it in the baking powder mixture that you've made, and apply that to the wounded area. Again, I don't know about clip wings for this. I've used this on overclipped nails and it's worked. The problem with this one is that because it's not medicated, they do feel a bit sore for like a day. It stops the bleeding, but it will, like, they still feel the pain a little bit, and which is fine. The pain goes away in a day. It's just that they're sore for a day, and then it's perfectly fine. You do have to apply this like once, twice, maybe even 3 times, just to make sure that the baking powder sticks to the nail. Just what I do, if it's not sticking, I just hold it there. I know they will struggle in your hand and like try to move and get away, but just hold them in a cloth and keep the Q-tip on the nail. Hold it for like a good minute, and maybe a minute is too long. Maybe try for 40 seconds at least, the minimum. And once the bleeding stops, let them go and you're good. So guys, these 2 items must have in your bird emergency kit, okay? And Q-tips, or if you want to use something else other than Q-tips, that's fine too. Now, what do I use to clip their nails? I know I get a lot of questions on that too. So I use a very, very small nail cutter like this. It's like teeny tiny baby size. Milo has joined us. Milo's very curious. Okay, I know you're angry with the Q-tip. Why don't you sit right here? He's right there. You like this? You're scared of this? Don't be scared. Look, you can see your reflection. It's a birdie. No, he doesn't like it. Anyway, so I use a small one. I just feel like I have more control over where I'm clipping because it's really teeny tiny. If I use the adult size nail clipper, it's more likely that you're going to overclip because the surface area that you can clip is a little bit. Guys, I do have to mention one thing. If you are not confident or comfortable using the nail clipper to clip their nails, then just take them to the vet or a pet store that provides that service to you. There's no wrong in doing that. I'd rather you do the right thing than, you know, be nervous and accidentally clip them a little too far, and wouldn't want any kind of hazards of them bleeding out. So nothing wrong with you know, taking the services that are out there. Some of the pet stores that are available are not that expensive. They're pretty inexpensive for you to get it done maybe once every month even, or maybe you can get away with it for 2 months. Depends on how fast your bird's nails grow. With Milo and Coco, I have to clip it at least every 2 to 3 weeks. With Milo, I try to get away with it for a month. But the risk of leaving it too long to grow is also not great, because the longer they grow, then you know, that far out the blood kind of vein or whatever will grow a little bit longer with the nail, so you don't have a lot of room to clip. But if you do want to use the nail clipper, maybe start with just the very, very tip of it, where there's pretty much no blood vessel there. So the very, very sharp tip of it, start with that. And then when you gain a little bit more confidence and start to know where to maneuver and cut through the nail, you can gradually do a little bit more. All right. Okay guys, I'm going to show you how much magic baking powder. It doesn't have to be this brand, it could be any brand of baking powder. So here's a teaspoon, it's not a spoon, and I will take like a decent amount. I don't know if you can see that, and I'm going to put it into a container like this so you can actually see how much. So that much. And now for the water, just give me a second, I don't have water around me. So we're just going to start with like small drops, right? And then try to make this paste. So I put a couple of drops. I don't know if you can see. Let me. Oops. Let me try to make a mess. So this paste is still a little too thick. So I'm going to take a little bit more water and just try to mix this. And you see it's bubbling up a little bit. It's fine. I can't do this with one hand, guys. Oops. Come on. It's a bit hard with one hand. But essentially you want like a goopy paste like this. I don't know if you could see that. Let me go into the light. Is that better? You want like a goopy, non-overly drippy paste like this. With that one drip that I just did. Let me see if it'll focus again. Yeah, so it needs to be just a little bit goopy, not overly watery. And just continue to mix this until you get that consistency. So right there. This is like a big blob of goop, right? So this will stick to the Q-tip and this will stick to their nail. So just like that. See, and it doesn't really, well, you'll have a little bit of liquid fallout, but for the most part, it's sticking to the spoon. So that's the thickness you want. That's the consistency you want. So don't get it too runny. All right. So let me just take some again. Yeah, like that. Like a little bit of runnage, but like what's left over on the spoon that's not running as much, that's the part you want to apply. So hope this helps for any of you who do not have access to the Quick Stop. Baking powder is a good alternative. Again, it doesn't have the medicated option, so it will probably leave them a little bit sore for like a day, maybe even 2 days, but they'll be back to their chipper self in no time. All right, talk to you later. Hope this helped. Bye, guys.